I'm Anna.
And I'm Carolyn, and we're two sisters who love handcrafting and figuring things out.
Hi, welcome to episode 17. We are coming to you from Northern California. It's another rainy day. It is December 31st. So
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. We're getting ready for some nice meals with our family tonight and some toasts and such.
A little game playing. We're going to play a big game of Catan. Anybody else out there Catan players?
I decided I'm making tacos tonight. I know it's not really a New Year's Eve thing, but it just sounds fun.
Actually, sounds festive.
Yeah,
I think you can go with it.
Yeah.
We're going the big old charcuterie board and just have it out while we play game and just
See,
I think that's
that
going to
feels
be
more
really
New Year's
fun
than tacos.
Yeah,
But I'm
good.
looking forward to my tacos.
So I think the last time we filmed and it was raining, I'm like, I wonder if people are going to be able to hear our rain on our roof. And you can, so we're going to hear it again. So hopefully that's a nice soothing sound for you and not annoying, because that's just the way it is here for that. All right, so in this episode, we're going to share our WIPs. We have a couple FOs. We're going to talk about our New Year's plans. We are going to be curious about WIPGO, because we thought you might be curious too. And then we'll end with our thumbs up for 2022.
All right, as always, we just enjoy reading comments so much, and there was so much love for the store Acorns and Threads in Portland, and Portland in general. So it was a trip that Carolyn and I took recently at the start of our holiday break, and we can't wait to go back.
Yeah, so many people talked about just the beauty of Oregon, and if you are in the United States and ever get the opportunity to be on the West Coast, I think Oregon is definitely a destination spot. I know we have never been up the Oregon coast, which is supposed to be spectacular for all the times we've been to Oregon. So we're going to try to do that in a trip maybe this summer.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to some good pictures.
And we'll sneak into Acorns and Threads.
And we also so enjoy it when people give ideas. So in our last video, Carolyn was stitching Merry Old Soul and was wondering about the handle to a stocking that Santa is holding, so you'll see how she resolved that. And we also in our last video said we want to give a thank out instead of a shout out or a thank you. And one commenter said, like, maybe that's a new FlossTube phrase that we need to coin. So we'll look for times for a thank out.
Yeah, thank out.
Yeah.
Great, good. But we want to go back to, we have the Spring Moon, and this is a project that I broke up with. And this would have been a couple of months ago. People that had interest in picking up the project where I left it off left a comment, and we drew one person and we've mentioned that person twice and haven't heard from them. So we went ahead and did another random drawing, and number 6 won, and that's Stacy Lorraine. So I'll put Stacy, I'll put your name right here. And then I'm gonna go back and comment on your comment. It was from a while ago. So I'll also see if there's any other way, if I can find you on Instagram or something, I'll try to contact you as well. But send us an email. It's we.r.curiouscrafters@gmail.com, and that is in the description box if you want to go find it. So Stacy, congratulations. I hope you're watching because I think you would love to stitch this. Pick it up where I left off, and I'll pop that right in the mail to you.
So as I said earlier, Carolyn and I started our holiday break from school with a trip to Oregon, and then we've had some hangout time here at home, and my husband and I just got back from a trip down to Pismo Beach, and it is so fun for me to see how different towns, like what is their iconic thing, the way to decorate for the holidays. And Pismo Beach has a classic sign. We'll put a picture of it.
Okay.
And it was changing its colors at night, and sometimes the letters were red and green. And then it also has a very long fishing pier, and at the end of the pier was this light, a Christmas tree made out of lights. And it was fun.
Okay, when you sent those pictures, I didn't realize that the Pismo Beach, she sent us a couple of Pismo Beach and they were different colors. I thought they were different signs. I didn't realize that they were changing signs.
It's neat. It doesn't blink, but it just fades from one color combination to another. Like there was a pink and white combo that was super cool. And anyway, that was fun. And we're just back from that, and our vacation is coming to a close. It feels like it's been so long. I'm so relaxed.
I know.
And again, thanks for so many well wishes to us to enjoy our vacations from school. And I know that the kids are going to look different when we get back to school. They always looked older to me after this break.
It was a wonderful break. I think there was something about having a full week plus before Christmas Eve and Christmas itself, so we could take our trip, we could relax, and then still had time. I put on a big Christmas Eve dinner here, which is always really fun. And I just felt like I got to relax first, and then it always just takes a couple of days to clean and set up and get your food and do all that and do the cooking.
It was so nice.
So it's really I love doing that. It's really fun. All right. Okay. So our toast. So it's 11 in the morning here, so we're going with carbonated sparkling water for our toast
and our hot beverages.
And then our hot beverages because it's raining. So Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Here's to 2023.
2023. I have to get used to it. My brain likes the even number years. So it feels very sad. It's 2022. Going 2022.
2022.
But I'll adjust. Don't worry.
Yeah, 2022. That had just a nice rhythm to it. Really Who doesn't like 22 and the 2? So,
anyway,
but 2023.
We'll get used to it.
I know, a little sparkling.
Refreshing.
Well, let's get started. Anna, what are you wearing?
I'm wearing something called the cabin tunic, and it's made out of quilting fabric, which I used quilting fabric a lot when I first went back to sewing.
But it's kind of heavy. It's not
well, that's almost I don't use quilting fabric very much anymore because it doesn't quite have the drape that I want in my clothing. But this reminded me of water, and I really enjoy wearing this with jeans. I don't know if we're going to get a catwalk or not.
It's raining pretty hard. You want to stand up just because you have the really cool slip pockets on that, so even if we don't.
Oh yeah. And it's lined.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
It's almost like it's like a little kangaroo pouch.
There's some nice detailing in the back too that brings the waist in just a little bit. This pattern is by some company called Blueprints for Sewing. Taylor is the mastermind behind it, and they are amazing, inclusive, creative, and really analytical. Their company's called Blueprints for Sewing. You can feel the beauty of construction. Even
your dart coming up the side isn't just like a standard bust dart. It starts more down at the waist and comes up like that.
And there's some nice detailing in the back.
Anyway,
I'm a huge fan.
If it's too rainy for a catwalk, we can maybe just get at least some standing pictures out under the eaves. But we'll see. We'll get umbrellas out if we need to. All right. So I'm just wearing an infinity scarf that I designed and knit many years ago. It just has a little bit of a texture.
Oh, that's pretty.
And it's funny, many people have asked me, oh, can you give me the pattern? And I'm like, I have no clue what that stitch was. But I love it. It just has the right texture. And what I love about this scarf is we have a mutual friend who is Anna's doppelganger. Her name's Laura. And she is a master, talking about technical, she is a technical craft woman. And she dyed this, it's cashmere. And this is her hand-dyed cashmere. And the gray, there are just a few little subtle variations in it. And it is so soft and lightweight. So it's just such a nice light, yet warm and just versatile, kind of the kind you just pop it on over anything. It's fabulous. I love it. So Laura, she spins, she dyes, she quilts. She's a master knitter.
Handworks or something.
Handworks. Yeah.
WERK. Is that? Am I remembering?
Yeah, that's right.
I don't have my phone here.
Yeah, we'll put a link. I don't know if she does much anymore. She kind of goes off and on with her work, but this has just
in terms of selling.
She's always making. In terms
things.
of selling, that's right. But this has just been a favorite piece for me. Thanks, great. Laura.
Yeah. Speaking of Merry Old Soul and the stocking handle, show us.
Let me pause this for a second. If we do brave the rain and go out there, what? Let's do a little probability. Do you think we'll go out and do a catwalk?
I think there's a 97% chance that we'll do it because whatever. Even if we get really wet. I just did a bunch of errands before I came over to Carolyn's and I was sopping wet. I had to use her hair dryer. My hair was wet when I got here. Anyway.
She's like, do you have a hair dryer? Sure.
It's,
Okay, so let's go with those. So if we have a catwalk. Object. So Merry Old Soul. So this is a pattern, Merry Old Soul by Brenda Gervais. It's stitched on, let me look at my details, a 26 count Confederate gray or gray, and it's using the called for overdyed threads. And this was a kit I got from Country Sampler. They did. Oh, the one modification I made is in the stocking, I just repeated the star from his coat instead of making the little cute snowman face. And then last time I showed it, I had done the I wish I had the pattern, but she used long stitches to do the handle of the stocking and the greenery. And mine just looked janky. And I just wasn't happy with them, I'm sure. And part of it was I'm just like, I don't know, and I was just like putting them everywhere. So I just went and used cross stitches instead for the handle, and then I tried to mimic a little bit of the curving greenery and the berries. So Merry Old Soul.
I really like what you did.
I do too.
This is one of the cutest Christmas things I've seen.
Okay, what do you think? What makes it cute for you? Not that I'm disagreeing.
I think the Santa is, well, I really like the color in the red, and it's the kind of folky that I like folk art, and border's really pretty, and it's just sort of simple in a way. It doesn't have a lot of extras. His features too, it's like a one stitch eye and a one stitch mouth, but somehow it works. And if you notice, she does just a tiny bit of variation in the floss to give them those little rosy cheeks. So this is going to be turned into a pillow. Okay. By next holiday. What are you going to fill your pillow with? Or you haven't gotten that far yet? Oh, I haven't gotten that far. I'm going to experiment. I think I like the wool. The idea of using wool inside, and I like your ones with the crushed walnut shells in it. And I saw somebody that did the wool in the corners to even those out, and then filled the interior with crushed walnuts. So I thought that was also an interesting. Is that Christy at Crosshouse? It might have been Christy. I'm not sure who it was. Thank you so much. When people give those little hints, soaking them up like a sponge. I know. I love anytime people give the techniques, because when you're learning craft, or even if you're experienced crafter, it's those small little tips and details that really take you to, as my sons would say, second level. Take you to the next level. It's why I've always enjoyed taking craft classes, even if I'm familiar with the craft already. I guess that's how people feel at retreats, because you're always picking up something that someone's figured out, or a favorite technique of someone or whatever. Yeah. When I was really into quilting years ago, and there was a woman who's very inspiring, she taught classes and she ran a local quilting store, but she said, I have no patience for people that will go to a class or to a quilt show and complain about what they see. She says, everything you do, find one new thing that inspired you or was new to you. She goes, it might be the tiniest tip, but that is going to make you a better craftsperson. I thought, and I think that's such a great rule of thumb, probably for life as well. Whatever experience you're in, try to find at least one thing, one positive takeaway to take away with you. Speaking of classes, this memory just popped in my head, and I can't even remember who the teacher was. I went to an improvisational quilt class years ago, 20 years ago. You were going to say you went to an improv comedy class, and I'm like, what? That would be a stretch for me. Yeah. I would try it, I think. I don't know. Anyway. There was one person, it wasn't me, in the class, and she was finished kind of early, and the teacher went over to her piece and took a rotary cutter and chopped it, and she goes, okay, now see what you can do with that. How did she react? I can't even remember. Obviously, if I remember it so distinctly, I was a little stunned, but I thought, it's like, this is a teacher who wants us to learn.
Right.
If someone is finished and we still have a couple of hours to play, she's gonna keep pushing us, keep pushing us, keep pushing us. Nothing is precious. Keep learning.
Well, I think that's the thing, is nothing is precious. Maybe we need to have some scissors in the classroom, and if the student's like, I'm done. What else can you think about for that?
Yeah. Oh man, that's a funny memory.
Yeah. Okay, so here's my second finished. I know, I love this one.
Yeah, you finished a couple of super cute ones.
This is called Holiday Card 2021, and it's designed by the Blue Flower. It's stitched on 26 count linen. It's vintage porcelain by Lakeside Linen, and I stitched it with the called for DMC, and I love the palette. I did change where I put colors and mixed it around, but I used the same palette. I kind of just did my own thing. For the light bulbs, this smaller version had used metallic threads, like metallic DMC, and I didn't want to go metallic. And then the llama had a blue, but I really like that rosy pink. And I stitched the scarf and some of the details on this, I don't know, a couple times before I got the right combination.
Oh, you did?
I did. I think the chocolate brown is a little bit too much contrast with the orange, but at that point in the scarf, I'm like,
see, I like that.
I'm like, good enough. I was tempted to go back and use, there was a nice tan. Oh, the tan that's in the detail there. Mm-hmm. But at some point I'm like, I'm making this a pillow for a grandchild. Like, she's not going to care about that. So highly recommend. Who doesn't like a holiday llama? And that again is Holiday Card. And I mentioned this before, but those pom-pom boots, just little details like
it's
that.
Almost like they suggest motion. I really, really like it when something in a chart suggests motion.
The pom-poms are kind of going like that. I think one of my granddaughters, her lovey is sort of a llama-ish type of thing. And her parents have gotten a couple, have gotten a second one just in case it gets lost. And I know your daughter has done the same for her granddaughter. So I think that one might go. I have to decide. I'm starting with a tradition early December. I'm sending all the granddaughters. When we were growing up, we called them Grammy Jammies because my mom would send them to our kids. And so I call them Gramsy Jamsies. And then I want to also at that beginning of December, put in a couple little festive things, like this year I gave them little coloring books for that. And I thought I would give them, as they're getting older, like a little Christmas decoration of some type. But give it to them at the beginning of December, not as Christmas, just as a way to kind of get in the festive spirit. So that's gonna go one of them.
I'm gonna steal it.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, we gotta share our grandmother ideas.
Yeah.
Wonderful. All right, let's go.
Carolyn has been busy.
Let's go to works in progress. I haven't been busy. I've been on break.
I mean, busy with your crop. I mean, like you have your needle has been.
I know.
That's what I mean.
It's been wonderful. So here is a bit of an impromptu start. It is. I'll show you the pattern I have it on my iPad. It's Love and Joy by Heartstring Samplery, and this is really, I feel like it's going around right now. There is the pattern. It's a one-color pattern. Chris of the Camping Stitcher, Chris, you are on a roll. She has just been finishing so many fabulous things, and she just posted this on Instagram, probably like December 30th. It was in her stories. I'm hoping she also put it in her feed, but she did a one-color version, and she already has it as a pillow. So definitely go check out her finish.
It's hard to see in this picture, but Acorns and Thread had this model at the store, and there's I think it's called a herringbone stitch along the seam, which I thought was a very pretty addition
Detail
to
that.
Detail, yeah.
So there's a special person in my life that she brings so much love and joy to the world around her and to her family members that I'm like, I need to give her a little love and joy back. So I'm making this pillow for her, and I'm stitching it on 36 count Walnut Grove by Needle and Flax. Yeah,
I can hold it up while you hold up your piece.
I'll just put it like that. I know it's hard to get it without it spilling out.
This is a great little dish for you, 100 or Goblins and 100 Threes. What are they?
So I want to give a thank out to Katie Strachan again. I know we're just fangirls.
Thank out.
But what I did is I went through the silk that I have I have 3 of her kits. And so I've took the silk from those and pulled a palette together because I wanted to do a multicolor version.
I was wondering, because when you showed me the palette, I think you texted a picture. I was like, did she go up to
Did she go up
a needle to haystack without
Did
me?
she go without me? No. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, I'll be able to put those back in the right kits. And then I'm like, well, I remember which one went to which kit.
Well, you can compare with my kits.
So here is what I have so far. And I started with my palette. And I'll show you, Anna, because I have a couple questions about it.
What's the fabric?
This is Needle and Flax Walnut. Walnut Grove. Okay. I'm going to show Anna the details. Around the flower, I have both the light yellow and the gold, but I don't know if the gold is ghosting out too much.
It is, but to me, because it's close to the light yellow in every instance, it does not bother my eye.
And because of that, I've pulled out also this brown, because in some other places where I was thinking about using the gold, I'm going to substitute in the brown and just compare. And I may go back and replace those motifs with brown if I need to. There's also the blue up here. I don't know how it's coming out on the camera. That's ghosting. So hard to get a detail.
We're really still learning how thread is going to look on fabric.
That's
it's different. Like when you hold up this spool, you're like, oh, that's going to pop. But when it's one strand.
You know what, I'm really coming to the conclusion? It's not the color. It's the value. And when the value of the linen and the thread, and it makes sense, right? That no matter what the color is, it's not going to pop off. So you have to, and especially with, this is my first time using a little bit darker fabric and thinking, and maybe I shouldn't say dark, this is really a medium tone. And many of our colors are medium values. So I think you have to go really light,
because
like
that
this yellow,
does look very beautiful on.
or really dark, like even like this darker red. I mean, that pops right there.
You're right, those are the two colors of all of them that pop the most.
And then the orangey pink pops too, because it, even though it is medium, it is such an intense bright color. So I'm having fun just playing, and I kind of have some thinking about where colors will go, but I'm changing along the way. What's your feedback?
Well, I'm just digging. It's a totally different look than our usual, and I really like it.
Is that blue too ghosty, or do you think
I would keep going with it? None of those colors can I not see at all.
Yeah.
And I think I kind of like that.
And I'm thinking there's, this says love and joy, and then it says come to you. And I'm thinking the come to you, I'm going to do in this darker bricky color, because I want the love and joy to be the accent words. And then I think that the darker color does look a little better. And I love how the yellow is actually her favorite color. So the yellow, I'm going to find some more places. I was going to say there's
other places with the yellow, yeah.
What I'm going to do with the yellow, this is sort of my thinking again, it's going to change. I think I'm going to use the chocolate brown for the idea of like the twigs. But then the little leaves and things coming off of that, I'm going to do in the yellow.
Beautiful.
And then make the berries the different reds.
Yeah.
And Anna, what's so interesting, these two, I haven't tucked in my ends. These two came from Seasons of the Heart Winter. And when we stitch this reads much more red. Even though this, at least when you do the berries, but as soon as I put it on this fabric and again put it up there, I'm like, oh, that's not red. This really is a orangey color to that. So, okay, love and joy.
So you remember where the threads came from?
I remember. But you know why?
Because of that observation?
And I keep telling myself, that's from that, that's from that. Do you know with your brains, this is teacher Carolyn speaking for a minute, it's not how many times you put things in your brain, it's how many times you take things out that build stronger connections. So I keep telling myself, I keep pulling out, I'm like, oh, Seasons of the Heart. Oh, joy and good cheer. So, Seasons of the Heart, autumn. See, I just did some retrieval. I'm going to remember more. Anna, all right, let's see what you've been working on.
All right. So I had started this a little, I think. Had I started it? I can't remember.
No, I think we were just looking at what we had got from Acorns and Threads, because you kitted it up there, right?
Oh.
I think our last episode we just talked about what we kitted up.
Okay, yes. We'll look back. So, and Heaven and Nature Sing by Kathy Barrick, and I'm stitching it on 36 count flax by Zweigart, and with the called for it MPIs and some extra greens, because the greens of these stems I felt were ghosting, and I put this on Instagram and many of you felt the same way, ghosting enough that it bothered me. So here are the two original greens.
Anna.
And I ordered, I think this is the avocado green family at MPI. I ordered 2 additional greens in that family. And these are the new ones in that tree.
Anna, those two
you like
are
them enough
perfect.
I think I'm going to
Perfect.
proceed with those.
Perfect. I would go back and take out
Oh, I'm definitely
the
going
ghosting.
to.
And
I'm going to.
you maybe don't have to take out the leaves, but that. You know what I love? And again, this goes back to just commenters, and I love all the feedback you all give us, because Anna posted this on Instagram and was like, I'm not sure about ghosting. Some communities would just be like, oh, it's fine. It looks good. Like just not willing to really get in there. But almost everybody was like, you should change that, Anna. Mm-hmm. And just the honesty.
I think I asked the question, can you see the stems? And people were like, no, not really.
And people like change it. And some, because people, if you're a stitcher, that's a little bit of a hassle to rip that out, even though we know we're all happy to do it. So you might go like, oh, it's fine.
Right. But if I'm putting out the question, I want to answer. Let's analyze it. Let's talk about it, and let's change it if it needs to be changed.
Mm-hmm. And so I really appreciate it. I think you said after the first few comments, you're like, yeah, I'm changing it.
Yeah. It did help me make the decision, because you know how sometimes you're like, I'm not sure this is right, but I'm going to keep going. Mm-hmm. So,
and I'm so glad you just ordered the 2 colors. I think that tree, Anna, looks perfect.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if the darker green was going to be so close to the dark brown of the deer that it would just be too dark, like maybe not a value change, but I do like it. I've had some funny things happen. Like I made a working copy because I was highlighting each row of the deer, and I was like, how do people remember like what line they're on? And then on Instagram I saw, oh, you can outline the first and last stitch, and then you can just fill in. I do not know why that didn't occur to me, but it didn't, and that has made the fill-in easier. Really enjoying the fill-in.
I love the red on there too.
So challenge 1 was the need for some different greens. Challenge 2, the whole time I'm like, I just don't feel like I have enough space for all the trees over here. Like I measured,
Do you have enough space?
No. You know what I did? I started in the wrong orientation. It should be like this. I was laughing last night when I realized it was like this nagging feeling. Something is not right.
Is it going to fit?
No.
What?
I'm going to have to, I wasn't sure what I was going to do with what I've been calling the mailbox, the house with the, so no, I'm going to have room for beyond the tail, a little bit of greenery. So mine's going to be a square.
Okay. How much did you measure? How much could you get away with a 1-inch border? Because
I might have,
your tail, I feel like you should be able to get that in.
I might be able to. I will measure more carefully. This realization just happened last night.
Oh, Anna, I'm glad you're laughing, because you put in a lot of great work. Well, that's what
I said to James, my husband. I'm like, there's no way I'm restarting this.
No.
And I'm really attached to it. I'm loving it.
And look how much space you have over here too.
I know. Oh, because I like a 3-inch margin.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there's so much space in the bottom. Like, why did I cut the linen like that? I mean, so many clues, friends. So many clues.
Okay,
anyway,
but
I figured it out.
Good thing to tuck away. Like, always look at the orientation of your fabric and see.
Yeah, I feel like I'm super careful about that kind of stuff, and I also feel like spatial stuff is really fun for me. Mm-hmm. I don't know why or how it happened. It happened, and
we're gonna play.
We'll see.
Let's blame Susan because you were in Portland when you started.
Yeah, let's blame her.
So
if I started that, then I did have it for. I set a little start for it.
Oh,
you're right. I got the MPIs.
Because we got the MPIs, but you started up in Portland and we filmed after Portland.
To me, it's all about the deer. So I just really, I'm enjoying this a lot.
Have you seen Kathy's finish?
Oh my gosh. She said it's 5x6 finish. She stitches over 1. Mm-hmm. It is so cute.
It's so cute. It's amazing. Her stitching is amazing. So we'll put her Instagram handle right here. Definitely go check her out. Okay, Anna, that you're making great progress. How are you feeling about this now that we're kind of getting toward the end of the holiday season? Are you going to keep going on this, or are you going to put it away?
I have no strong feelings about when I'm going to do holiday stitching. I just don't know. I don't know what's coming.
You don't know.
2023. Who knows?
Who knows?
I don't know.
Next. This is, I know, this is one I kitted up at Acorns and Threads and has started since. This is Joy. Hello, fingers. By Satsuma Street. And for this, I picked a 28 count linen. It's taupe from Zweigart. I wanted something because I want it to be a banner like that. So I wanted it to be a little bit of larger size. So here's what I've done so far.
It is so striking.
Satsuma Street, just ticks all my boxes, as people say. I love her vibrant colors. I love the big areas of color, so stitching it, you can really get in a groove. I love pulling the mini palettes. So the next bobble I'm gonna work on is this long oval one over here. And so just pulling the palette of threads, I call them my sub palettes, are just so beautiful. Sometimes when I look at the full palette for a piece, I'm like, I mean, I like bright colors. I'm like, that's too many colors, but she picks out these incredible sub palettes for each of the pieces as you go along. So each one is almost like its own little start and finish. I'm using her at the called for NPIs, no, the called for DMCs, but then I went over to the MPI wall and picked a few, here's an example, just matching colors. So that is the silk. And for some of these, for example, this top bauble, this top ornament, some of it is cotton and some of it is silk. And I'm just doing it as an experiment to see, can you notice any change in texture? So this one has a lot of silk in it. This one has, I think, no silk in it.
You know, the light is not, it's funny, I almost feel like the DMC has more sheen than the silk, but I would think that that would be the opposite. I'm gonna look at it on a sunnier day.
Yeah, so I'm not sure it makes a difference, but I thought it would be an interesting experiment. On the pattern.
You have a lot of whiskers here on this. I'm going to trim those for you.
But I did pull out my sewing machine and zigzagged it.
Yeah.
So they will stop. I think my zigzag, sometimes I'm not like,
you do it inside. Yes.
I do it inside just so it
That's
doesn't clog. The ornaments, our designer, Jody used a metallic thread for the ornament tops, and I'll call it the hardware. Sometimes that full-on metallic is too much for me.
Well, you mentioned it earlier. Yeah, I was just about to ask you, what is it about the metallic? I mean, I wonder if you need to try some kinds of metallic that are a little more subtle.
Maybe I do. And one thing I was thinking about was using like a goldish silk and then putting in the accentuate that Katie adds for a little bling. So taking something and adding a little bit of that to just give it a little bit of sparkle.
I feel like some metallics, I guess by nature, they're really metal, are kind of stiff.
Yeah.
Maybe find something that's a little more flowy. Yeah, and maybe in combo.
And you're right, maybe I need to try stuff. I think my hands just have the memory of like stitching in needlepoint with Krynics, and that just is so unsatisfying. So maybe it's just something I need to experiment with a little bit. So I'm at a good stopping point of this piece. Here we are at December 31st. So this is gonna go away. It's not that I don't love it and haven't enjoyed stitching it, but I feel like it really is a holiday piece. And it's gonna go on my WIPGO board. We'll talk about that later, but definitely I'll pull it out probably next, festive holiday
It's gonna be
season.
like so happy to see again, like after it's been stored away for a while. Such a happy piece.
But I feel like I made some good progress in that.
You really did.
That bird. Look at just those ornaments. The shapes are so fun. Again, the palettes are so fun.
That back stitch is a series of stitches.
It is
not just one.
Yeah, she does a back stitch for the strings holding the ornaments, and so that I'll do the back stitch. Okay, so Joy by Satsuma Street.
All right, I had a Christmas start. Oh my God, I enjoyed getting ready for that start so much. I know this is part of the whole thing for me. Curating your supplies, getting everything set. So on Christmas Day, I literally had the linen ironed and draped and was just sort of waiting.
Did you pick
the
right orientation?
I don't know.
But you know what? It takes, I think we've talked about this before, it takes time to get your project fully together to start it. So, but it does feel good once you've got it. You can't rush that process.
Right. I'm wondering, now that when you said that, I'm wondering if I was out of my usual spot and we were traveling when I started and having an interesting, I wonder if there was something about like my concentration wasn't as much. Anyway, I started the Smith Sampler by the Scarlet House, and
Orientation.
This is what I have so far. I was not, I started up in this corner and I just was not sure at all about that first star. It had a little 80s vibe to me, but then when I started adding in the neutral, the sort of yellow green and the dark brown, I started feeling better about that bluish green and that pinkish.
I think too, Anna, once you get into some of this brighter in here, I think you're going to feel fine. I think in some ways, if you like the look of the designer's palette, you're going to like it once it's stitched up. And I just want to make sure you get the full. This is really an incredible sampler, Anna.
I'm using the Vicky Clayton Silks and 36 count Shrekie's Tan by Needle Bling Designs. And the only thing I did was I did substitute the white in the Vicky Clayton Silk Pack to a brighter, truer white, an MPI 991BB, because on the picture, that bright white, I think is the first thing that drew my eye to this sampler.
And are you happy with the bright white of the bird?
Yeah, I think so. Well, anyway, I have to keep going on that.
And I just
really fun. There's so many things going on.
I love the tiers of pattern. Like it's just, there's so much fun stuff going on here, and the details. We were talking recently that we said we've had a lot of fun doing Christmas smalls and doing smaller pieces, but miss samplers. And I
totally miss them.
I think the missing is just all the variation that you have. I mean, actually you have sort of 5, also that bottom row with the little animals. Are you going to stitch this row by row, or are you going to do it more like a little bit of each row and come vertically down?
I will not stitch it row by row, I don't think. Yeah, I tend to start, I really scrunch my fabric. So I start here and I tend to kind of go down and across and down and across and down. And then it ends up being like the Wi-Fi icon. I think I actually kind of move like that in the end. So, but we'll see. Because we don't know what's coming in 2023.
We don't. That 23 is going to really throw us. It's a nice big prime number. I mean, big, not big, but. Anna, the more I see this, the more I like it.
Great. Shared supplies. You can have it next.
Yeah. And this is, I think, a great example of being able to, if you don't want to do a whole sampler, pick one of the bands.
That's true.
And I was even thinking you could do a band and even like a like an L shape of the border, not even having to completely surround it.
That would
Just
be
do a
really
little bit
pretty.
of asymmetry, because here you could do that with the little,
and the little,
she has a little
the
bit
little
of
green triangles
that separate her bands. Beautiful, Anna.
Thanks. I know this one's going to take me a while. I think years.
You gravitate towards some of the bigger samplers like the Red Deer or for this one. But we know from your very first finish that you have stamina. Just keep on, keep on, keep on.
Sure. What's next?
Beautiful. I had one more start. This is another one that I kitted up, Acorns and Threads, and this is Merry Christmas Wishes by Kathy Barrick. This was in the Kitten Stitcher Advent box of 2021, but is now available for everybody. And at Acorns and Threads, I picked my own palette. I kept 2 very similar.
This one makes me drool. I think this is my favorite color palette of anything we
my
got
turquoise.
There.
And for part of the stand, I'm going to do dark brown, but Anna, I've decided I'm going to keep those like scallops in the gold and then that the dark brown. And I'm also not going to put the words, so I'm going to end there. So I have my dark brown, and then I'm going to use some combination of these golds for a few accents along the way. I don't know, I might just use one of them, I might use both of them. Those are my options. I'm stitching this on, let's go down.
Are you going to put the 1816 in?
No.
Okay.
I think I'm going to put maybe the date I finish it, or some stars or something. I don't know. I might put
Or
the
if you
date.
give it to somebody, you could put initials.
So I'm not going to put the random date. I have to think about what I do. The linen I used is 36 count Sand Dune by Lakeside Linens. And this is what I have so far.
That's so pretty.
At first I wasn't sure about once I put the turquoise on the fabric, I wasn't 100% sold, but the more I do, it looks really fresh to my eye. And that's the word that keeps coming to mind. Let me put a little.
I have zero worries.
Let me see if this helps. And the fabric's a pretty strong orangey tint. Fail. Nailed it.
This is beautiful. Now, is this going away?
No, this is not going away.
Okay.
And my thinking for this one is I like having just a one color, because you just can sit down and start stitching. And I love once you've stitched enough of the little flower motifs, you get in your rhythm. And to me, it's a big time comfort piece. So I'm going to keep this one out and going.
Great.
Isn't that pretty?
It's really pretty.
I think we may have talked about this before, but our family has an expression MCS, which is a mild conceit session. And we would do it when we were little kids. Like you'd finish a report and you'd put it in your report cover and we'd be like, oh, look at our rainfall chart. This is so good. My mom would be like, take your MCS. And then she'd go, that's enough. Keep it mild. So sometimes I look at this and I'm like, that's so beautiful. MCS. Okay, that's enough. Keep it mild. So that one's going to stay out. Merry Christmas
I
wishes.
do think it's
by Kathy
great
Bear.
for us to take a moment of like, that looks good. I mean, really. Or like you make something that tastes delicious, like, this is delicious.
Are we
I don't
talking?
think that's bragging.
No, I think that's
I
enjoying.
think that's just the truth.
And actually, we teach our students, we both teach at girls' schools, is many people can't take compliments. And sometimes you give someone a compliment like, oh, no, it was nothing. But we're trying to teach them to be like, thank you. I like it too. Or, you know, really appreciating the things that you have done well on. Yeah, for that. Okay. Oh, and I have two more.
You have some knitting for us.
Yes, I have some knitting for you. You all are going to be so proud of me because I'm working on, we've seen this many times now, the baby Kylie cardigan. This is my fourth one I've knit. And I don't know if you remember with my red one that I made for baby Jay, it was like finished forever. I had to get those buttons on and I'm like, come on, somebody give me a kick in the butt to get the buttons on. And so we did and I finished them. I put the buttons on this one before I even finished it.
Oh, that's a good idea.
So
I'm gonna remember
here
that.
is this baby Kylie cardigan. One sleeve's done. I'm using the same design element that I used on the other one. And
Design element ran out of yarn.
and I'm working down the second sleeve. So I wove in as many ends as I could and I put my buttons on. So I'll just have to give this a good block when it's finished. We're gonna be over when we're playing games tonight on New Year's Eve. I like to have like some mindless knitting going as when it's not my turn. So I'll probably finish this tonight. And the two yarns I'm using are Serendipity, they're fingering in a nice lavender. And this is Madeline Tosh Cosmic Wonder Dust as my accent.
I can just imagine the sweaters on both babies.
I was babysitting last night and the mom, when they got home, she's like, oh, is that the sweater for baby A? And I'm like, yes. And I'm like, you just gotta feel it. It feels so good. Excuse me. All right, the other one is a new cast on. It's called the Lundberg pullover, and let me show you a picture of it. It's a color work, very neutrally earthy colors. And I'm actually using these exact same yarn and colorway that the designer did.
Pretty.
Yeah, it's not like me to just like pick the color. There's a online store, the Woolly Thistle. They have a shop, they call it a shopcast. I'll put their information right here. They're fabulous. They have such great wools, and I get their emails and they came up and they're like, we've got kits. I'm like, yes, please. So here's what I have so far. Let me actually show you the colors a little bit better. This is knit in Lichen and Lace, which is a Canadian yarn company, in their rustic wool sport. Here's the gray, the dark charcoal gray, and just, I got this bag of yarn and opened it, and I was just in heaven. The smell of wool, and this is, you, even when you knit with it, you knitters will know what I mean. You can feel the lanolin that's still on the wool. You can feel it in your hands. And then the accent colors, they're all nature inspired. This is birch, this is pollen. This was shrub. And then the last one, can you hold those two, please? The last is this beautiful blue sky.
Yeah.
So they are the very earthy colors for that, for the yoke. And here's my beginning.
Is that the neck?
This is, yes, it's going to be knit top down, so you start at your neck, and I'm working down the yoke in the colorway. And it's really subtle, like even looking at the connect between the blue and the little bit of gray.
Yeah.
So it's really pretty. These kind of sweaters are fun because they're super intense with the yoke. You're following, just like in cross stitch, you're following a chart that's showing you stitch by stitch what color and what to do as you're going along. But then you get down to the body, which will be a solid color.
Miles and miles of solid.
And it is just, I also love that too, because it's like you're mindless. You don't even have to be looking at it. You're just like, boom, and you go. So that is the Lundberg pullover. It's designed by Savory Knitting for that. So that's my last work in progress. I'm gonna just really hightail it on this one because I'd love to have the sweater done this season.
Really?
Don't I'm forgetting I'm going on.
I am forgetting that, actually.
When I go back to work, I have 1 week of teaching, and then semester 1 is done. Semester 2.
I have a feeling I know what our next toast will be.
Yeah, that's going to be a big one.
Mm-hmm.
All right, those are our works in progress. So let's talk a little bit about plans, Anna.
All right. So Carolyn and I have been thinking about Brenda's birthday sampler. And she is, I think, if not the very first floss tuber, she and Laura, one of the very first I started watching. And they are the people who taught me about like different colors of linen and different kinds of thread. I've learned so much from them and been so inspired. So I'm trying to figure out, I want to celebrate Brenda somehow.
Mm-hmm.
And how will I participate?
Mm-hmm.
Well, my eye went immediately to this bunny. And I think I'm gonna do the bunny with an arc of one of these, I don't know, plants. Like an arc with the bunny underneath it. I think I'm gonna make a small with the bunny and some sort of foliage.
I think that would be this one right here.
That was my first thought.
Yeah, Anna, I love that idea.
So that's my thinking right now. I think the whole sampler is beautiful. I just have so many things going right now. My natural, and I know Brenda would want me to stitch what I love. My gut feel is to just take a little piece of it and just think about Brenda as I'm stitching it. What about you? What are you thinking?
I'm doing the same thing. I'm not going to knit the whole.
We're so funny.
I know. I'm not going to stitch the whole sampler, but I really want to celebrate Brenda, and I'm planning to start this on her birthday, just as send out some birthday wishes for her. And I agree, you know, she and Laura have such a positive outlook on stitching, and everybody come on, join us. I just want to celebrate her because she's definitely made a difference for me. So what I'm thinking about is I'm thinking about doing a thin band. And at first I was going to just do the bottom band here, but now I'm thinking about doing the berry bowls with those side-by-side flowers and then flanking it with these flower bowls. And
I can imagine that.
so maybe not this. So these would be my outers and that would be my inner. Because I really love that. And then those would be the side. I don't know. I don't know how the height will match up. And maybe fill in a little bit up here with.
Or maybe that will be on a little hill. You don't have to have all the bottoms.
That's true. Thank you, Anna. Good idea. So I'm going to look on this chart because it does have a lot of floss. So I'm going to look. Maybe we can look together and see.
Let's do that.
You know, we don't maybe have to order everything. And I think I'm going to do silk. What do you?
Oh, I'm 100 degrees all the way.
103. Okay.
Because it's Brenda.
That's right. That's right.
And if you haven't seen, it is Martha Evans' 1879 by the Scarlet House.
It's going to be fun to see what everybody does. I'm sure some people will do the full sampler, but I think a lot of people are going to be like us where they're going to want to celebrate Brenda this year and pull out a piece of it. So I think we can find some really interesting variations, and it might be an interesting exploration of, okay, you have a full sampler. How can you take pieces of it and do different things?
And I know people did that for Laura's big birthday too, and I really enjoyed seeing what people ended up doing if they didn't stitch the whole thing.
Yeah. So happy birthday, Brenda. And
birthday,
as
Brenda.
turning 60, you're going to have so many factors this year. So that's really an exciting time. A lot of factors. All right. Great. And then I think I'm just going to pick linen. So we got to get on. If I want to start January 16th, we got to put our order in for a silk.
Well, let's do some thinking on that later this weekend.
Okay, that sounds
because,
great.
You know, we can make a little list of the threads.
Okay.
And then I mean, would you consider 40 count if we're going to use 103s? No. Okay. 36.
I'm not quite ready for it yet. 36. The one I'm stitching was 103 and Gobelin on 36. I really like the Gobelin. I might look for that over 103. To me, it's a little bit. I have to go back now. I've had more experience stitching with silk and watch Katie's tutorial about silk because I think the Gobelin is stranded and it feels just a little plumper.
I think it is more plump, which is the reason. I think one of the reasons 103 is easier for me is I have my untwisting problem, and so with Gobelins, well, I started using shorter. Anyway, I had some solutions for it, but it takes more patience for me, even though I think it's beautiful.
And it takes a little time to get it to lay flat. It needs enough tension because it wants to sort of spring up in the stitches for that.
True.
All right, Anna, what are your New Year's plans?
I
Are you gonna have a New Year's start?
But I'm having a New Year's start.
Okay.
And we are ironed and ready.
Good, Anna.
first of all, I'm going to start with the fabric, which is, I can't remember, straw.
It's straw.
Weeks straw. And I'm going to do Sarah Barnes of the Scarlet House. And we'll close up. This was in the Kit Stitcher sampler box, the recent sampler box. These are the colors, and I'm just so excited. Now I'm thinking about what you said about value. It's not the color, it's value. So now I'm worried, is that lighter green going to show up after all? I think this is the first time, or no, maybe not the first time. Rarely do I feel like the color of the fabric is really like a player. And I feel like the color of the fabric is going to be a player with these threads. And I really like the size and shape of this sampler. I'm starting tomorrow, and
You're ready.
I'm going to go, 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 go.
I like how you said the fabric is a player. And I think that's now, we might be intermediate stitchers once we start thinking about the fabric as a player.
I'm wondering how much of this, I don't think this is going to show up very much now because of the value.
Let's put it down for a second.
I won't know until I start. I'm going to get one strand here.
You know what, Anna? If it doesn't, I think it's gonna feel like the turquoise blue on my, and if you wanted to show more, I think you could substitute some of the MPI green family that you got.
The avocado green.
The avocado green family. I mean, this is a little bit more yellow.
Yeah, it might work.
But I think that will be a good thing to look at, because other than that, your others are either very dark or very light.
All right, what are you thinking for New Year's?
Right. I'm starting the winter.
And tonight or tomorrow for you?
Tomorrow.
Okay.
Tomorrow for sure. Winter comes, and this was designed by Heartstring Samplery, Beth Twist, and it was designed as an exclusive that went through that Facebook group. I have no idea what it is because I'm not on Facebook. And it was distributed by Acorns and Threads, and it was released December of 2021. So now, again, this is an example. It's regularly available, and I got the full kit when I was at Acorns and Threads. And Beth said when she went, her inspiration to design this is she wanted a piece that was celebrating winter and not, as she said, the big holiday. So she says there's plenty. So it really is more about winter. And she said no matter what climate you live in, she felt like these were winter scenes for that.
Yes. The border. Are you going to start?
I am. I'll start in the top, on the top right corner and go down from that. And she said she
can
also
you see it. It's so.
She said this was really nice. I'm not giving away anything, but she wrote this time I read the pattern before I started after learning that lesson. But she said she wanted also, she doesn't like to stitch borders that are the same, so she wanted to add some variation. But I also felt I just want to read a little bit about her suggestion because I feel like this was so creative and inspiring. She says, change up the color scheme to reflect your own taste and style. Pick and choose your favorite motifs to turn into an ornament or a pin cushion, or stitch it over one and frame it to add to your sampler collection. And she's just like, personalize your sample, add your initials, add your dates. Just because I chose to stitch it one way doesn't mean you have to do it exactly as I did. I want you to tap into your own store of creativity. So I love that, because sometimes when you're stitching a designer's piece, you're wondering, would a designer be offended if I'm changing it up? And she's like, go do whatever you want. That means I'm stitching it exactly as she did.
So I bought the kit. I'm using all the call fors.
But I just love that philosophy. So it's stitched on 36 count vintage wood smoke, and she calls this the pictorial version, and the top one the poetic version.
Now I'm seeing, oh, that's cute. Now I'm seeing that the vintage does have more models.
I think that's
I've heard people say that, and now I'm kind of getting it.
And then there are the called for overdyed weeks colors. Really pretty. And really, the highlight of this stitch is my bling that Anna gave me for Christmas. It's boba tea. If you remember our experiment trying boba tea. So that will be a nice memento to remember that.
It's silly.
It is silly. All right, so
very pretty.
Tomorrow, we're working on that.
And speaking of plans, I mentioned earlier that samplers are really calling me. I think I really am. Yeah, I'm a sampler stitcher. Maybe that name is already taken in the message world. Anyway, this BH 1820, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Is calling me again.
Yeah, great.
And I want to finish this and have it at the framers by the end of January.
Yeah, you can do that, Anna. I love
already
that.
have a picture in my head of how I want it framed. We'll see what the framer recommends, but this muted palette. I just find it so lovely. So, yeah.
You put it out there.
I'm starting all kinds of new things, but I want to finish that.
And to be honest, you have a good portion of it done there. I think you can.
I have 2/5 of it done.
I was going to say the same estimate.
Really?
Yeah. I was going to say 2/5.
Yeah, I needed to bring that into math next week.
What percentage has Anna finished on this? Okay, we're curious. So this is just a small thing. I got it curious. I'm trying to get Anna curious too. I'm really curious about WIPGO. WIPGO. I've heard reference to this, especially this time of year. Everybody's talking about it. And the last year I was like, I don't even know. I'm just like still learning. And so this time I'm like, I'm curious. What is this all about? Because you hear people talk about their WIPGO boards. So it's something done by Jessie Marie, and you may know this, but for those that don't, Jessie Marie, and her handle on YouTube is Jessie Marie Makes Stuff. I'll put it right here. And I just want to give her a thank out. She, this year, made a fabulous video. It's just a how-to, a WIPGO how-to, and it's wonderful. And I'll put a link for that, down in our description. And she goes over how it works, the rules, and she always says, your board, your rules. So it's just shorthand. It's based on a bingo board. There are 25 spaces. One of those spaces is typically free in the middle. And you put a project or a theme or a category in each of your squares of the board. And then every month she calls 2 numbers, and those 2 numbers are what you focus on that month. And for each square on the board, you might be, let's say I go, okay, I want it to be Satsuma Street Joy, and I give myself a goal. It might be, I'm gonna stitch 1 day on it. It might be, I'm gonna finish it. It might be whatever you want your goal to be. And she explains it much better than I do, but so it sounds really fun. I'm all in. I counted my WIPs, and I have 7 WIPs. So to fill up 24 spaces, I also added, it's still a work in progress, but I'm adding themes. And one of my themes is like framing. And my goal is take 2 pieces to a framer. So I'm pulling in, or I have New Start. I have do your own silk conversion. Make project bags. So I'm just putting in another one. I have FFO, and my goal for that is finish 2 smalls myself. So I'm just filling in with lots of different things, and she gives you more ideas too when you watch that video. So I'm all into WIPGO, and I'm gonna finish my board before I go back to school. So by January 3rd, by the end of January 2nd, my board is gonna be done. Okay. And I'll post it on Instagram, and I haven't looked. I know she's already picked the numbers for January. She's gonna pick them the 25th of the month before, so you can do any planning you need to, but I'm not gonna look at them because I don't wanna, like, when I put my board, I wanna kind of do it randomly for that. So you might wanna look into it and see. I'm
gonna watch the video. Carolyn and I were laughing earlier because it feels a little too structured for me. But I'm also thinking, like, I really want to sort of try some things that were my initial response is like, I'm not sure that's for me. In 2023, that's one thing I'm thinking about. So it's so funny to me that I'm not sure that's for me. And then I reminded myself, like, why don't you try some things that you don't think are immediately for you and see if you like it? Because I can try it for a few months, but I don't know. I'm going to learn more about it.
And part of it for me is I actually am starting to have a little bit of concern. Like, even for me, 7 WIPs, being a knitter, like if you have more than 3 or 4 WIPs, you're like a little out of control. Like, are you going to finish them? And I know it's totally different in cross stitch, and I'm getting to feel that, like giving myself permission. Like my Gordon squash bottom, he's a fall stitch. I enjoyed him in fall. I'm going to put him away till the next fall. But I think the WIPGO will also is like reassuring to me that I'm going to go back and revisit those WIPs. I do not want to just let them stall out.
Like a reality check and reassuring at the same time. Okay.
So that was one thing that was really appealing to me. And the other thing, obviously, I'm having a hard time motivating myself to really do like FFOs and get things framed. So I'm hoping that little motivation on the board of some of those things will help.
Yeah, and I think you have a disciplined side of you and like a list. Making side of you, and I'm going to do these things before I do anything not fun, but like that's free form today. Like that sort of fits your style. You've tried some things that are similar to this in other parts of your life.
Plus, even though I feel like I'm pretty independent free thinker, I love joining in on things that look fun.
Like it's the community aspect of it.
It looks like everybody's having a lot of fun with WIPGO, and I'm like, I want to have fun with that too. Yeah. Okay. So we have a couple just quick shared supplies. Yeah, Anna has a few Christmas goodies that she's going to share.
So one thing I had on my Christmas list, I said I would just really like a bowl, a wooden bowl or a glass box or just something that I could display a few cross-stitch things in. So our sister Susan, who is the sister we just visited in Portland, she picked my name this year and she gave me this
it's
bowl.
perfect.
And right now I have
perfect.
like some Christmas candies.
Not a bad thing having there. It's perfect.
I just think it is so gorgeous.
It's perfect. And I can see you doing like a little montage in there, a little collage. Really, it's wonderful. Susan.
Yes,
she yes.
Yes. And Carolyn gave me, I should say Susan also gave me a few charts. This is
I've eyed this one too, Anna.
All right, it's in our shared supplies now. And Carolyn gave me this zip pouch, and the tag said, "Perfect for 100 threes."
In fact,
it's so gorgeous. Look at this.
Oh yeah, that's going to hold them really well. Okay.
So it has a really kind of a chunky zipper to it, and it's screen printed, I think. It's really, really pretty. And then my daughter, sort of on a whim, because I've been wanting a Christmas tree skirt for a long time, she found this linen, so it's plastic, this linen Christmas tree skirt. And she's like, if you can't find something that you love, why don't you cross stitch on this?
MK,
So,
you are brilliant.
Remember she gave
You are brilliant.
me a modern folk embroidery chart that has a bunch of different snowflakes on it?
Yes.
I might cross stitch some snowflakes on this.
Can you
I haven't
tell?
even taken it out. It's even weave.
Okay.
So MK pushing.
Do you have the make of that in case anybody else wants to give it a go, or maybe you'll try it first and see?
I'll try it first.
What an interesting idea though, to buy things that are already made out of linen and then see if it's open enough to stitch on it.
Yeah, I'll have to see. That's the thing. Before I do any recommending, I want to
Find what the stitch count is.
It's a pretty neutral. And I also, while I have my Christmas things out, I feel like there's a big piece of me that I don't share very often and on our floss tubes, and I really, really like sewing on paper. And years ago, I made these bags, and they have a little sand bag inside of them, but they're lined up on a windowsill. You know, this one. Anyway, it's just a little blast from the past.
It's fun when you pull out Christmas decorations. You have favorites. They look great together, Anna.
I just thought I would.
And then she's done a lot of garland. I don't have mine up this year, of circles in some of the same colors.
A row of stitching on the back. Anyway, there's a big piece of me that's like this that I haven't shared very much.
It kind of goes back to some of your collage thinking too. Okay,
So I
it would
grabbed
be
those at the last
interesting to
minute.
do like cross stitch and then stitch through them on something else. I don't know.
Like a patch,
Yeah.
cross stitch patch.
Cross stitch patch. The John's Patch Fest. All right, let's end with our thumbs up. And our thumbs up this year is just celebrating 3 just cool things from 2022.
It was fun to think about what sprung to mind.
Mhm.
You want to go ahead?
Yeah, go ahead. First thing is 2 new granddaughters were born in 2022. One was born in April and the other in May, and they were both joined older big sisters. So that's where the 4 granddaughters. So who can't, new life, thumbs up for that.
Amazing.
Second thumbs up, and I might be stealing something I'm sure that Anna has as well, is her son's wedding. That was in June. And besides, they are just a wonderful couple, and just celebrating them. It was the first time our extended family was together, I think, from post-COVID, right? Was it?
Yes.
People traveled from across the country, and almost everybody from our extended family was there. I think probably 80%, 85%. And just seeing everybody in person and celebrating. They had a really wonderful welcome event the night before, and then the wedding itself and reception. Thumbs up for that. And then my last thumbs up is just starting Curious Crafters with you, Anna, and just being part, kind of really just jumping all into the cross stitch community and just the whole thing. Loved it. It's just been a big highlight and thumbs up.
All right. So I did have my son S&J by the Bay, their wedding, and I'm going to add to that our 2 families have become friends. And when you're in your 60s, and it's not like you don't think you're ever going to make any new friends, but it's really, really special to draw close to new people, especially at this time of life. And I I'm so grateful for that.
Yeah, they live in the same town, which is really nice. And they're wonderful. They really are wonderful.
So yeah, whenever I think about that day, just like this, like I almost get this warm sensation inside. It's just so full of love and joy. And I also have this FlossTube adventure, Carolyn. It's been an amazing experience. And we started in April, right?
We started in April.
And it really, after saying I'm not a very disciplined person, I shouldn't say I'm not a disciplined person. So making FlossTube videos and having our Instagram feed, I think really does help keep me kind of like going and interested, and it's been great. And that sense of community and connection. And then the third thing I put on my thumbs up for 2022 is just sort of like you were saying for the wedding. We've done some little trips and we've had some little visits, just really reconnecting with friends and family again, especially my little toddler granddaughter. It's just so great to know, like, sure, I'm going to put a mask on the plane still. Sure, I'm going to put COVID tests in my suitcase. I kind of like, but I can go and I can do things and see people, and it just feels so good.
And I think you and I are falling under and everybody has to decide for themselves on this issue, but I think we're sort of feeling like COVID is endemic. So it's going to be here. So how can you be responsible but continue to live your life as full as possible, right? So there might be some times where we're going to wear that mask or make sure we're testing to be considerate of others, but we're going to keep moving forward.
Right, because that's, and these little trips and spending time with friends and family, it's what life's all about.
That's right.
As we're planning for retirement, fancy cars, no. Big trips, no. Well, what do you want? How do you want to use your money? What kind of money do you need? I'm like, I want to be able to see my friends and family. That's like, and cross it.
I know, as you get older, like even thinking about your thumbs up, and you, like, I realize for me, important things are really my family and crafting, like that, the inspiration and everything that comes from crafting are just two big elements. So you're right. I don't need no fancy car, fancy clothes, nothing. All right, Anna. So happy New Year. Here's to 2023. And cheers to you all out there. Thank you for being part of this. It's been super fun, and happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year.
All right. Till next time.
What do we say again? Oh yeah.
Happy crafting
and stay curious.
Bye.